Good morning out there in Tube land. Make sure we're going fine. Good morning out there in Tube land. We're good to go. All right. Let's see something. So, here we go. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Resales. My name is Ryan. I get stuff from yard sales, garage sales, thrift stores, flea markets, back to school sales, clearance sales, random backyards, and try to make a few bucks on it online. Not a too active weekend. Got some stuff done around the house. Hit a couple of yard sales, but didn't have a whole ton of time. So we will jump in to see what I snagged. A few things, actually more from the thrift store. I think I hit a couple Friday morning, but that was actually more practical grabs than flips. And we'll go over a few sales I had. So let's see. Sales. And we'll discuss one of the sales and why or why not it's worth doing anymore. All right. First off, what the big one? Figuratively and financially, this right here is a toolbox. It's a tackle box for cake makers. See the thing? And it actually has a few accoutrements in it. And this went for $30 shipped. So I think I may have spent $5 on it, taking a little bit of a chance. 30 with ground advantage. This is like 3 pounds, 4 pounds maybe. So with ground advantage, instead of having to do priority mail now, stuff like this is actually a little more profitable, and maybe worthwhile to grab. So keep that in mind. That lighter stuff that formerly, it would still ship for this may ship only for $10 now. Before, that was a $20 ship. With ground advantage, there's some things that you gotta refigure occasionally to see if it may or may not be worth it. So keep that in mind when you're picking up non-book stuff. All right. Next up, this was 11. Yeah. No. 10. $10. Tom Swift and his electronic retro scope. Tom Swift books are fun in the fact that I've said this before, that they've predicted a whole bunch of modern technology that wasn't around with the time they were written. Even to the point of, like, I think the first one I read, he has an automatic garage door opener. That something as mundane as that now, was a wonder to the world back then. So they're okay reads. These are, if you notice, they're kind of look like Hardy Boys books. They have a little more value. Tom Swift has a little more value than Hardy Boys. Sometimes you can flip them individually. You can lot them up occasionally. The Hardy Boys books like this, about the only ones are going to be this color from the yellow spine, the blue spine that I kind of grew up reading aren't really worth as much. And the old ones, the brown, you see a lot of brown covers. You have to have the dust jackets on them for those to be worthwhile. So something to think about when you're grabbing these. So now these still move a little bit. You can get I think the Hardy Boys like this still move a little bit in like a flea market or a antique store scenario where you only got to sell them for like $3 and you're good. So anyway, finally, Wheel of Time books. These are hardcovers. They're not in the greatest shape. So I got 4 of them, $11 out the door, which means I'm probably $4, and I might not make money on this sale, technically speaking. And so, are Wheel of Time books worth it? I think if you can get a bunch in a row, 1 through 3, 1 through 5, maybe. The middle part of the series don't seem to do as well. The last 3, I don't know if it's the last 2 or 3, particularly the ones that Brandon Sanderson helped finish, those sell well. But I do have trouble selling them lately, particularly the middle books. So something to keep in mind when you're grabbing them. So don't pay a whole lot for them. If you get a bundle, you're doing better. But outside of that, don't go spending $2-3 a book on those. These did only cost me $1 a book. So, and I've had success selling them, for more before. And I'm still got a couple of hardcovers, but I think it's like book 8. I got 2 of the book, something like that I haven't sold for like $10. So, something to think about along those lines. All right, fines. Okay, something I hate. Okay. There's a story here. This. Alright. He's like, Ryan, you've never done China before? No, I haven't. And I don't do it often because China breaks. And I've had minimal success with shipping China. And I don't know a lot about it. This pattern I know a little bit about because it irritates me. Why does this pattern irritate me? This is Jewel Tea by Hall, China. Autumn leaf pattern. I hate the autumn leaf pattern. Why do I hate the autumn leaf pattern? Family story. My family collects a very specific pattern of Hall China. Or we used to. Mama's got a big collection. It's called Hall Blue Boutique. It's a pretty pattern, but it's got family nostalgia to it. But the problem is, all you ever find in antique stores and all that sort of stuff, where we always looked for it, has been that daggone pattern, the autumn leaf. And if I had the money, I'd buy every piece of autumn leaf and throw it off a bridge or something, or shoot it, to break it all because it's ugly, it's horrible, and it's all you ever see. And it used to trigger me inside antique stores whenever I saw it because it wasn't Hall Blue Boutique. Anyway, but that particular gravy boat, it's probably about 15 to 20. I got it, I think, for 18 right now. It's going to be like I probably wind up 14 or $15 on eBay. Hall sells if you get the right piece and that sort of thing. And I don't do China, but I picked it up because that's like the one thing I kind of do know, and it was like $2, so I grabbed it to give it a shot. Because I'm not opposed to doing that. And again, this is like the same situation as with this box, is that there's a couple more bucks you can make now on stuff like that that's lighter and smaller or smaller because of ground advantage. So worth thinking about. Okay. Finds over the past few days. And we'll jump into just a few small stacks of books. So, Raptured by Ernest W. Angley. This is sort of, it seemed like every Pentecostal and semi-Baptist preacher in the 1960s and 1970s who could wrote a book about the end times, particularly the rapture and all that sort of book of Revelation, rapture, and all that sort of stuff. I could probably make a pretty decent bundle. I think I've got a couple in there, and if this doesn't sell, I may wind up bundling with them. But this one looked like it sold for like $10 to $20, so I snagged it. So keep an eye out for if you don't have to spend a lot of money on religious books with no barcodes and that kind of look almost self-published, and it's worth going. I think is this. Oh, this is a novel. So this is about the end times before Left Behind. So there's something to think about. It's a guy writing about that. So anyway, and that's a whole lot of inside baseball right there for those of us who are or were dispensationalists at some point and paid too much attention to Sunday school and know all these theological words. So anyway, next up, Miracle of Lourdes by Ruth Cranston. This one's curious to me. I snagged it because it was only a couple bucks. This is a first edition. And I didn't see but like one other one online. And I think I put this one up for $50. And we're going to see how that works out. Curious thing about libraries. See, this is, you notice, this is an old library book. So that brings the value down a little bit. But there's a curious thing about library books sometimes. Libraries get first editions. Not a lot. I think there's a whole lot of folks that didn't quite realize that. But a lot of the first printings, firsts, wind up going to libraries who order the books and get them when they're brand new. It kind of makes sense. But so you gotta pay attention. Don't discard a book with library markings because it's a book with library markings. If it's a first edition and has a dust jacket, you may have something with a. Now it may not. It's not going to have the full value as a true first edition, but it may beat out that book club edition because this has. There's no money clipped on it. There's a lot of times you may see a first edition where this is cut with the dollar amount cut off of it. So did I trip over something? Maybe it hasn't sold. It didn't sell overnight. But something to think about when you're looking for first editions is there may be library books out there. So that's why pay attention. Local history. Weavertown Church History. Memoirs of an Amish Mennonite Church. This I think I put up for about $30. There was one sold on it, and everybody else was really high. So this is one of those situations where I'm undercutting people because they've got theirs a little inflated probably. So local histories sell. Now they can take a while. I do have, and you may have to keep the price. Make sure you got the lowest price on eBay, I guess, if you want to sell yours. But in my experience, $20 to $30 if you don't find one. If you don't find a good comp, I think I've sold a couple of local history type books for $20 to $30. So something to think about there, or at least start them along those lines. And I've also got a couple local history things those haven't moved. But genealogies, local histories, if you get them cheap and you're willing to sit on them a little bit, you got the space to stash them, worth grabbing. Finally, this was an interesting set. This is Immerse the Reading Bible. This is I would say this almost looks the Bible reading experience. This is almost like a Bible for beginners type stuff, which is fine. It's a based off New Living Translation, which is not an unreasonable translation. This isn't like Jehovah's Witnesses or anything. So this batch looks like it's probably about a $60 bundle. But not worth selling individually, which is interesting. You could almost buy them individually cheaper than you could buy in the bundle. It's kind of almost what. So it looks like the individual books almost weren't even selling at $4 to $5. But there were several of the sets put together, like selling for like 50, 60. So that's what that is. Is that everything? I think that's everything. That's everything. So that's what we've gone through. I'm gonna be out for a little bit and back later next week, so you can sleep in and not have to worry about getting up to view the channel. You're off, because I'm off to do stuff, and I'll be back, so don't fret, and y'all have a good one.